After 1989, President Bush said, and it's a phrase that I often use myself, that we needed a new world order.
We all talk about a new world order, about what the Clinton administration's foreign policy will be, what this so-called new world order will look like.
Its task will be to develop an overall strategy for America in this period when really a new world order can be created. It's a great opportunity.
That the problem of the Bush presidency will be the emergence of a new international order. There's a need for a new world order.
The necessity for a new world order.
And then work on a better world order.
Really need to bring China into the creation of a new world order.
Incredible window of opportunity to lead in shaping a new world order for the 21st century.
The affirmative task we have now is to actually create a new world order.
Oh, what a coincidence. All these powerful, corrupted individuals using the same dog whistle. There definitely isn't anything nefarious or organized happening here, the corporate media reassures us. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Rudowski here of WeAreChange.org, and we have a lot of absolutely crazy news to get into today. As of course, the conflict rages on in Ukraine as the language is becoming more hyperbolic by the day from the Russians, from NATO. It's all gone to hell. Lots of bullcrap, lots of lies out there. And just like Albert Einstein and now many other globalists are saying, in the midst of every crisis lies great opportunity to, of course, re-envision the world, to, of course, change the world in the vision of the uber unaccountable banking corporate billionaire class. As we're going to be breaking down this latest article from the Asia Times, talking about how Ukraine accelerates the Great Reset. What does it mean? What are the larger ramifications of? Well, we're going to be talking about that plus a lot more. But before we do, in yesterday's video, we of course talked about Joe Biden's statements about ushering in the New World Order. Today, we wanted to play a video of him saying it a lot extensively, since of course, this is something that he's been saying for a long time, including in a Wall Street Journal op-ed that was published on April 23rd, 1992, where Joe Biden pinned an article that was titled "How I Learned to Love the New World Order," where he literally called to breathe life into the UN Charter. Yep, and that's the guy proceeding over this very tumultuous time in American history. The same man who brags about writing the Patriot Act years before it was even passed. So yeah, safe to say that we're going to have a very interesting time with him as President of the United States. As of course, he's also the same person who's picking the next Supreme Court justice of this country. He picked an activist judge, which of course the corporate media is literally making infographics to match her resume in order to make her look qualified. As of course, she is known as an activist judge. That of course has the mainline corporate acceptable line of thinking that of course is ever so regurgitated in Washington, D.C. Hillary Clinton is a big fan of her, and that should tell you everything you need to know about this judge, who most likely soon will be on the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, in related, the corporate media is absolutely horrible news, we of course have this latest revelation coming from Candace Owen that showed a very interesting exchange that she had with the New York Times that asked her for a comment on what they deem, quote, Russian messaging that she is spreading by talking about the corruption that has happened in Ukraine, specifically asking her for context about her allegedly repeating Russian state media talking points. And very interestingly, she responded by literally sharing a New York Times article with them that was titled "Ukraine's Unyielding Corruption." Yep, a real New York Times article from, of course, 2016. And we have to remember that not so long ago that this was a major talking point within the corporate media, highlighting the dirty politics, money laundering, and criminal enterprises that the Ukrainian government was involved in, which of course is only highlighted ever more with new reports coming out of Ukrainian politicians and their family members being found crossing the border with millions of US dollars in their possessions. Now, highlighting the corruption of Ukraine and how the people there are being screwed over by their government, it doesn't magically make you pro-Russia, as of course Russia is dealing with its own set of corruption and political business dealings that are screwing over their people. No matter how many times the New York Times tries to allude to this, the truth should matter here, not the larger agenda at play here. And that, of course, is something that the corporate media has foregone a very long time ago, as of course they will say and fight for whatever cause the special interests tell them to fight for, which again is totally different than independent media that has to be spied on, attacked, raided, and impeded from doing their work, just like Project Veritas did, as they were able to find out how the DOJ went behind a judge's back, ignored a federal order, and attempted to hide the fact that they were illegally spying on investigative journalists. We actually talked about this story in great detail in yesterday's LukeUncensored.com video, along of course with other very important issues that we can't really talk about here on this particular platform. There's a lot of things changing, a lot of things shifting, some very good, some very bad. The issues that are too spicy, too hot to talk about here, we talk about on LukeUncensored.com, where today we will be talking about all these latest celebrities and politicians getting sick nowadays in a very strange way, and some absolutely more incredulous behavior from Lubin Tubin on CNN. That discussion, plus a lot more, will all happen later on today on our own platform, LukeUncensored.com. Click the link down in the description below to find out more and to join the conversation. Now, I think it's very fair to say that we are in a very serious situation, not just financially, not just geopolitically, but of course, the future of this country are in the hands of extremely old, senile people who, most countries at their age, have their licenses taken away from driving a car. The people at the same age as those people are literally allowed to drive a country, with some people accusing them of driving the country off of a cliff, and I would argue that's correct, especially with how far we have come, how severe the escalations have reached, to the point where there's even a Kremlin spokesperson on CNN refusing to rule out that there might be a nuclear weapon used during the Ukrainian conflict. Yes, Putin's spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, was on CNN, Christina's Amanpour's show, and was asked to specifically rule out the use of nuclear weapons during this entire conflict. He refused to do so, as of course this is a serious reality that a lot of people are not really taking serious. The corporate media tries to underplay this, just like the New York Times did yesterday, saying that it's not going to be a big deal if there is a nuclear war because of, quote, small nuclear devices. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization just came out today and officially declared that Russia, quote, cannot win a nuclear war with them. Why are they saying this now? Why have we reached this absurd point where now this is a talking point by both nations? And I don't care if it's saber rattling. I don't care if it's only a small percentage that this would happen. Yes, I understand mutually assured destruction theory, sure. The fact that now this is a talking point is just absolutely absurd and insane from my own personal opinion. All of this as the conflict in Ukraine heats up. This as the Russians have surrounded the city of Mariupol, and it's currently where all the major fighting is happening. The Russians told the citizens living in that country and soldiers to surrender, to walk out of that city, which they said that they would destroy. They are currently extensively shelling and bombing it, as of course that city has been cut off from electricity, food, and water. Essentially, the Russians are trying to starve out and isolate this city so they could conquer it. There's also a video showing Chechen forces already occupying some parts of the city, and of course, this is a key strategic region and city for the Russians to conquer, since of course it would help them link the Donbass region to Crimea, which of course they hold a very strong occupation in. Now, in the midst of this madness, there have been a lot of accusations, especially by the Western corporate media, pushed on, of course, by big tech social media, accusing the Russians of specifically targeting a shopping mall, which they were accused of targeting civilians. Now, this is just one specific incident that a lot of people are bringing up, since, of course, after the bombing, we heard about this specific talking point, Russians going after civilians, and then later we heard about the videos coming out showing what was clearly heavy military equipment inside of that shopping mall that the Ukrainian forces put inside of there that they were using to, of course, launch attacks from. A Ukrainian newspaper is now reporting that a TikToker was arrested for sharing videos of the military equipment in that shopping mall, which, of course, highlights yet another narrative from the West that has not been true. Now, ABC News has even reported on how some Ukrainian forces are using civilian targets for, of course, as massive, quote, military warehouses. And even though we have this clear documented report of the media and big tech social media lying here in order to push the narrative, there are other incidences that do clearly show Russia, whether on purpose or accidentally, really bombing civilian areas that did not have military hardware within it. This is a war. War is dirty. It is absolute hell on earth. All this lying and manipulating by the corporate media is not doing anyone a favor. It's making people distrust and disbelieve everything that they're seeing from there, and rightfully so. There's propaganda from the West. There's propaganda from the Russians. Who knows who to believe anymore? The only constant that there is here is that the people of Ukraine are being absolutely screwed over, and their suffering and their losses should be remembered and prioritized here no matter what the circumstance or situation. Innocent people should not be caught up in this madness. It's clear what's happening here is absolutely wrong, and we should be trying to prioritize the de-escalation of it. This while, of course, other people see the escalation of this as an opportunity, as perfectly highlighted by this Asia Times opinion piece that reads, Ukraine accelerates the Great Reset, with the byline that reads, when the U.S. confiscated Russia's dollars reserves, the world got a wake-up call. Specifically, which brings to the larger question of the U.S. petrodollar and American hegemony on the global stage, that with global debt and the rise of the Chinese system could lead towards this, quote, restructuring of capitalism, aka communism under a new name, a fourth industrial revolution, as Klaus Schwab likes to call it. And of course, with the financial mess that this country is in, expect some kind of financial restructuring. That is, of course, bound to happen. The fact that many globalists are lining up and already are detailing the plans of how they want to see this restructuring, which, of course, will work towards the benefit of them and them only, is concerning and should be worrying for everyone, especially the people holding U.S. dollars, as, of course, clearly our current financial system is unsustainable, and some people are arguing is being deliberately destroyed financially from the inside by reckless policy moves, energy decisions that absolutely screw over the average American and allow a lot of powerful people to create a situation that only gives them more power, more money, more control over your existence. This is something that these sociopaths have been after for a very long time. As, of course, if you look at the top of the top in industries, in business, they literally have to forego everything. Family, personal relationships, in order to focus to be the best of the best in the business world, which is absolutely cutthroat. What's stopping them from achieving even more money, more control, which they have way more than enough of? Well, of course, they have to restructure the system so they can even get more and you get a lot less. Why do you think they are in the positions that they are in the first place? Because nothing is enough for them. Most of these people have empty souls, empty existences, and they fill that emptiness, that void, with, of course, their lust of power and money. And they have achieved a significant portion of it. But again, it's like a drug. It's never enough. And this is why they want a bigger hit of dopamine, more mansions, more luxury yachts, as these robber barons have become some of the richest people on the face of the earth in recorded human history, and still that is not enough for them. They want a lot more, and they're never going to be satisfied. Ever. And we have to realize that you're dealing with people that you think if they just get more land, more status, more influence, that they're going to be happy, that they're going to be content with it. They're not. They're just like a morbidly obese person at the buffet. They're just like a crackhead with an endless supply of crack. What happens to these people that have a bunch of brown nosers that get everything they want every single time they want or demand it? Well, they usually drive themselves into madness, and these are the same people that are calling the shots in our society that your government serves. And this is why, when it comes to achieving this great reset, we have to understand that these people know no bounds and will do anything in order to achieve it, just like the crackhead looking for for one more hit of the crack rock. That's essentially what they're doing here. They have warned specifically about the disruptions in our online digital space with cyber attacks that they have been warning about for a very long time, laying the groundwork, preparing everyone mentally to blame their enemies for. There's a lot of consequences for the utter chaos that they are starting, since of course they believe in order out of chaos. Food supplies are also being dramatically challenged, as of course a lot of the world depends on food from Ukraine. China has a lot of business dealings with China. Ukraine also has a lot of very eye-opening energy exploration projects, lots of natural resources, lots of food coming out of Ukraine, and of course fertilizer, which there's going to be a shortage of. Expect more food insecurity because of that. Even the World Economic Forum is warning about that. The power loss of the US petrodollar is also something to look at, as of course Russia is looking to trade gas for Russian rubles. Russia, of course, is not going to be the only country negatively impacted by all this nonsense, as they of course are seeing their first high-level official resign and leave their country over this conflict. Many people say Russia is repeating their 1940 Finland Winter War, and I wouldn't say history repeats, it definitely rhymes a lot. And how turbulent the early 1900s were, we could expect more turbulence during the start of this century. This, as there does look like there's one clear winner out of all of this, China, that very suspiciously is staying out of all of this. China, the same country that, of course, the Pentagon is now accusing of building up its largest military since, of course, World War II. Yeah, I would say lots of interesting things are brewing, to say the least. If we helped you understand some of the context, share this video with your friends and family members. It is more important than ever, and because you do that, we're still able to be here. I did a very important video surrounding context around this entire bigger concept and idea on lukeuncensored.com. I'm going to be shooting yet another video later on today. I hope to see you there for that discussion. And no matter what your thoughts are on the New World Order, whether it's just an empty phrase or a dog whistle or something even bigger, organized or coordinated, it doesn't matter. There is going to be a new world. Who's going to shape it? Who's going to be developing it, especially after all the chaos that was created? Well, hopefully not the people who created the chaos initially, but it looks like that's the case here. That's my particular point of view. If you thought I was wrong, tell me why and dislike this video. I always appreciate your perspective, your constructive criticism, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you investing your time with me, spending your time with me, and because you do, I am eternally grateful, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.